Oh yeah, my baby is here, my baby A. Wait, reusable in 70 turns. Your eyes are not fooling you. That's right, that actually is a cooldown of 70, and this is BB8, the newest hero that's coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. He is a resistance droid who is on the light side, who empowers allies by circulating secret intel. What I'm going to do in this video is we're going to go over his kit in detail. I'm going to highlight the elements that are good, and then we're going to talk about what teams to use him on and where to use him. BB8's first special is called Covert Data Transfer. Now BB8 and a random ally who doesn't have it yet will gain the secret intel buff for 3 turns. Then BB8 will gain 8% turn meter for each ally with secret intel. On top of that, if he's with all other droids, BB8 will also gain taunt for 1 turn. Now secret intel is a new buff that gives characters 25% potency, and on top of that, it will reduce the cooldown of his second special, Illuminated Destiny, by 1 for each ally with secret intel. BB8's second special ability is called Illuminated Destiny. BB8's going to dispel all debuffs on all allies, expose all enemies for 2 turns, and then all allies are going to gain 80% turn meter advantage, crit chance up, crit damage up, speed up, and offense up for 4 turns. Droid and resistance allies are going to gain 20% protection, and this ability cannot be evaded. Whenever a droid ally scores a critical hit, you can reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1. And now to BB8's unique and his basic attack. So his unique is called Roll with the Punches. BB8 has a 80% counter chance, and whenever he attacks out of turn, he's going to call a random resistance ally to assist. On top of that, his basic attack is what he uses when he counters, and that will deal physical damage and inflict tenacity down for 2 turns, and if they already had tenacity down, he's going to inflict daze instead. And lastly, BB8's second unique is called Self-Preservation Protocol. Droid allies will gain 8% turn meter for each active droid ally. Whenever BB8 evades, droid allies are going to recover 8% health and 8% protection, and whenever BB8 takes damage, he has a 50% chance to gain foresight for 2 turns at the start of each encounter. Alright, so we finally have taken a look at BB8's kit. I want to quickly highlight some of the elements of his kit that are quite good. So his basic attack is going to be applying tenacity down, which is great. There's a lot of characters in Squad Arena like Rex that apply tenacity up, and tenacity down is the only debuff that's going to penetrate tenacity up. And then once that buff is landed, he can also daze on his basic attack, which is a great debuff. It can help control the battle, and in some cases is actually better than stun because it stops the generation of turn meter. Now, the good part about his first special, Covert Data Transfer, is that he is increasing the potency of his allies with the buff by 25%, which is good. When you combine that with the tenacity down on an enemy and that 25% potency boost from the buff, you're actually going to be allowing your resistance and droid allies that he's paired with to rely less on potency from their mods, and actually you can change the way that you're modding your characters now. You're going to be probably landing those debuffs much more consistently, and then because of that you can focus more on offensive stats in the secondaries and more offensive mod sets because of BB8, which is good. That's going to make droids and resistance sort of indirectly stronger because you can actually change the way that you mod them now when you're running BB8. Now, his second special, there's really nothing that isn't remarkable about it. I mean, besides having a large cooldown, it has a cooldown of 70, but realistically, I think you can probably get this down to about 3 to 6 turns depending on what team he's on. If he's on a droid team, you can probably get that closer down to 3 or 4 turns, with all that crit that droids do, because every time a droid scores a critical hit, you're going to reduce the ability by 1, which is strong. And basically when you do that ability, it is a finisher move. You're getting a burst of turn meter, you're getting crit damage up and offense up at the same time with a ton of other buffs. You're going to be doing a ton of damage, and if you don't end up taking them out the first turn, the first go around, it lasts, all those buffs are going to last for 4 turns, and if they can't dispel those buffs on you, then it's pretty much going to be game over the second go around probably. The parts of his unique that are good are the roll with the punches. BB8, it has a counter chance, but whenever he counters, he's going to call a random resistance ally to assist. So on a resistance team, there are a few characters that are good to get called to assist, like Poe has offense down on his basic attack. Rey can give herself foresight, which works with her kit pretty well, but if he's on a droid team, this is where it really shines, because the only other resistance character that really makes the droid team is going to be R2-D2, so you can kind of guarantee that you're getting a stun whenever he is counterattacking from R2 if he's on the squad. And that's pretty good, to be able to consistently stun every time they're forced to attack a taunting four-sided BB8. And then the last part of his kit that's good is the second unique, Self-Preservation Protocol. This is interesting because droid allies are going to gain 8% turn meter for each active droid ally. This reminds me of basically a free Jawa engineer that's just a slight reduction of turn meter by like 5%. If you're running an all droid team, you're going to gain 40% turn meter at the start of the encounter, which means your droids are going to end up going first. And in Squad Arena, it's all about going first and having more speed. On top of that, whenever BB8 evades, droid allies are going to recover 8% health and 8% protection, which is good because he's going to evade quite a bit because he gets foresight from his own unique. He has a 50% chance to actually gain foresight for 2 turns at the start of each encounter, and since he's actually going to be with R2-D2, R2-D2 can also give him foresight when he puts everyone else in stealth. So now that we reviewed BB8's kit and we've highlighted elements that are good, where do you use this guy and what team do you put him on? So I think that there is some potential in Squad Arena. You probably don't want to run a resistance team in Squad Arena. You probably want to use BB8 with a droid team. And for the droid team, I would run a HK-47 lead with BB8, R2-D2, and then potentially for the last 3 spots, you could use IG-88 or General Grievous and B2 Super Battle Droid. Now, it depends on the team that you're facing. So if there's a lot of taunts and a lot of buffs going on, then you probably want to cleanse those with B2. If there's a Zeta Barris, you're on the enemy team, you're definitely going to want healing immunity, so that's where General Grievous and IG-88 come in. Now, on a resistance team, you got to run Zeta Finn. He's the best resistance leader right now, and I think you actually take out Rey and put in Resistance Trooper, because Resistance Trooper has expose on basic, and BB8 will call random resistance allies to assist whenever he's counterattacking. A free expose is always nice. Rey doesn't really benefit from the 25% potency buff of Secret Intel as well, so it just makes sense to probably try Resistance Trooper in that slot. So the final resistance team with BB8 for Squad Arena would probably be Finn, BB8, R2-D2, Poe, and Resistance Trooper. Now, for territory battles, there are light side droids, but he's probably going to be on a resistance team in TB, and depending on the phase, you could probably switch it up a bit, and you might actually want to use Rey in territory battles, but he's definitely going to be good in TB. There's a lot of waves. Every time there's another wave, it is treated like a new encounter, so he's going to be gaining foresight, he's going to be gaining turn meter, etc. every time there's a new wave. and he just works really well with R2-D2, which is basically a champion in territory battles as is. So that's probably where you're going to use him. Territory battles for sure, squad arena potentially, and you're probably going to end up using droids if you're going to use BB8 in squad arena. That's where you're really going to gain the most effectiveness out of BB8, because droid allies have a lot more synergy than resistance with BB8. So I'm going to start wrapping things up over here. I think overall BB8 is a average hero. I think that he has some synergies with resistance, he has some synergies with droids, and he has room for improvement to grow, because there's probably going to be more resistance characters that come into the game, and maybe even a new resistance leader, which will probably work with BB8, and that team could potentially have a chance in squad arena. The current droids that are in the game are quite weak. They don't have Zetas, and General Grievous is probably in desperate need of some love. So I think this isn't going to bring droids back into the meta that is the top 10 or top 20 in squad arena. But if you have some droids geared up from the tank raid and you're not doing so hot in squad arena and you're kind of in the few hundreds, then maybe you have some opportunity there. But I just don't see them really being able to shift the meta from what it is now, which is a lot of anti-crit. There's a lot of Zeta Barris, there is a lot of Rex leads, and the reliance on crit is just too high right now, and the ability to cleanse the healing immunity that you could apply through IG-88 and General Grievous is just too high. There's too many heroes that can cleanse. So I just don't see them really being able to break into the meta that is squad arena currently, but there is room and potential for growth. So I'm going to look at it optimistically and say he is an average character now, probably great in territory battles right now, but if you're planning on using him in squad arena, then you should probably reconsider your choice before you take all these guys to gear 12, because right now it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to really shift the meta like Commander Luke did. And the Commander Luke meta is going to probably take quite a few characters that have anti-rebel synergies to really change things, and this guy has none of those. So overall, an average character with a lot of room for growth. So thanks for watching, guys. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.